heat of the recent ENDSARS protests, at least 400 lawyers offered to render free legal services to Nigerians under detention for protesting against police brutality and extrajudicial killings perpetrated by the country's police officers employed to be the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, which has now been disbanded. This is a move that also received the full backing of the Nigerian Bar Association. In a statement by its president, Olumide Akpata, the association highlighted that the protests brought to the fore perennial issues affecting the Nigerian police, security agencies, and their interface with the citizenry. Fundamental issues affecting the country's security system that no longer can be put off. Joining me to discuss the existing legal framework and sensitization process for Nigerians is the founding partner of Primera Africa Legal, Boma Alabi, who is in our Abuja studios. Good morning to you, Boma. So the recent ENDSARS protests were hinged on reports of indiscriminate and unlawful police brutality and extortion of Nigerians. How could the legal system have played a more active role in protecting victims of these acts in a pre-protest world?
Well, the legal system itself is properly set, the laws are there, but it's the actual implementation of these laws that's the problem. And the fact that a lot of the victims of police brutality are not equipped with information and equipped with funding to access the help they need to get justice. The police tend to prey on the most vulnerable in our society, and that's what tends to happen. And also the young people who mostly have not taken the time to know their rights. So it's great that ENDSARS, at the very least, has raised citizen awareness as to their rights and the fact that the police are supposed to be there to protect you, not take advantage of you, and not constitute the threat to your life and your safety themselves.
All right, so there's a information deficit. So how much there's a judicial panel. Lagos State has put up a judicial panel. Some other states have kicked off their own panels. The Lagos panel is already sat right now. I think they're adjourned until Friday or so to hear more witnesses. How much sensitization is out there on Nigerians' rights in relation to extortion, police brutality, and how can they be amplified?
Well, this ENDSARS has achieved a widespread publicity in terms of citizens' rights. The judicial panels are all very well as an interim measure, but what we must do is make it easier for citizens to access justice. And that means, to my mind, some sort of ombudsman, which is outside of the police itself. You can't have the police brutalizing you and then complaining to the police. They can't be judge and jury in their own case, which is currently the case. Otherwise, you go to court to enforce against that government agency, which is the police. And that process can be quite long drawn out. But if out of this, post these judicial panels, we set up an ombudsman, there has to be a legal framework for that, made up of civilians, citizens of repute, give them timelines within which to deal with complaints against the police. So you know that if you complain, be it in writing or verbally, because a lot of our people are not able to put something in writing. So make the process simple enough for them to access it. And the timeline within which to deal with it, timelines within which the police must respond to complaints and give information to enable the ombudsman reach a conclusion. I have had cause to complain about the behavior of police officers in relation to clients. And you send in what they call a petition to the Commissioner of Police. 2 months later, you've heard nothing. That's unacceptable. So there's got to be a timeline. There should be an independent ombudsman overseeing their activities, holding them to account, post this judicial panel.
All right,
so that there's a constant availability for citizens.
Fantastic. Oh, great stuff. So also on another note, in the aftermath of the ENDSARS protests, many businesses suffered losses to acts of vandalism. There's been a lot of talk about insurance, fixing these, or rather getting what's been lost replaced through insurance. But what about legal processes? I mean, these are done by hoodlums and so on. Is there an avenue for that at all? Can the public be better educated in addressing legally those losses?
Well, the legal process basically is if you can find those who have damaged your property or looted your stuff, then you can claim against them. We tend to, in this jurisdiction, we tend to rely on government for everything. Government should step in, government, but really, it's a private business. You should have insurance. Your insurance should be wide-ranging to cover things like rioting, all of these things, risks that we should deal with insurance. And if nothing else, I hope this raises the awareness for business people that you should insure your goods, you should insure your premises for losses from fire, rioting. These are common risks. In turn, naturally, the government also should provide security for citizens' lives and property. But, we had an extraordinary situation where I think they were trying to manage by not being initially using hard measures, and then it got completely out of control. And I could see that coming because your right stop where the next citizen's nose begins. And when you begin to block other citizens who are trying to get about their normal business in the cause of your protest, that in itself is also illegal. So it's a sorry pass, and it's sad that a lot of businesses have lost so much, but I'm hoping they have insurance. That is a legal framework that you can contract with companies who are willing to provide cover and pay a premium for it.
It's excellent stuff. Speaking of paying premiums for things, I want to ask you about the costs of legal representation in Nigeria. How do you see? I think some say it's pretty high for businesses who want to get legal representation for whatever it is. Is there an avenue to reducing those costs for businesses that want to get legal representation?
Well, what I do know about my profession is similar to a lot of other professions. You will find a lawyer to match your budget, so to speak. Some are more expensive than others. Others are less so. So it's a question of negotiations. Our fees are not prescribed or prescribed by the NBA apart from for some very specific areas of work. And we also, it's a culture in the profession that we do quite a bit of work pro bono. For me, for instance, and with my colleagues in my firm, we do a lot of access to criminal justice work pro bono anyway, and we put some of our income towards that. And I know that the NBA, for instance, has offered to assist any of the victims of this situation if they come to us for help for free. So we are here pulling together as a nation, and I'm sure the costs of legal representation would not be an issue in terms of accessing justice for this particular situation.
All right, final question. We've only got less than a minute. The ombudsman, that process of getting that happening, getting that going, and the independence, how long do you think it'll take? How realistic do you think it is? In less than a minute, if you can.
I think it's very important. I think it should be prioritized. And if it is prioritized, our government and National Assembly can move very quickly when they wish to, as they've done with the anti-social media bill, as they call it. So if there's will, it can be done very, very quickly.
I suspect we might be having you back on the show to talk about that anti-social media bill if it comes forward. It looks like the government might be moving fast on that. Boma Alabi, founding partner, Primera Africa Legal, thank you so much for taking us through the legal framework with respect to the ENDSARS protests and protecting businesses. We appreciate your insights.